Hey, welcome back to the Act Right Out Loud
Welcome
podcast.
back.
I am your host, Jermaine.
What's up, y'all? This is Tonja. We are excited to be back
Super excited to be back.
for
Episode number three. Listen, I got to say this.
Mhm.
Let me first off by saying thank you guys so much for all of the wonderful and amazing birthday shout outs.
Yeah.
Man, thank you all so much.
Did you have a great birthday?
But I had a great birthday.
Good.
Thank you. You outdid yourself. You and the kids. Y'all really outdid
we try to do
yourself.
the best we can,
Listen, I'm so thankful for 45 years of life. 45 years of life.
45 years, 45 great years.
Yes, 45 great years of life. And I was really overwhelmed, really, just with it. Not so much as in terms of gifts, but man, when you look at how things are progressing in our world today, and people are dying young.
Sure.
I'm
40 is almost a goal.
Right. I'm so thankful for life, and just appreciate you for everything that you that you do. You have a few things on your sleeve, like always. Listen, y'all, Tanya, she is the best when it comes to birthdays. Not just birthdays, but gifts also.
Thank you, baby.
So shout out to you for just making it. It was a very special weekend, and it was a very special day. So
good.
So
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, I should be. Should be. So. But we're episode 3.
Episode 3, y'all.
Episode 3. And
give it up for consistency.
Yeah, I know that's right.
Give it up for consistency. Clap it up for consistency, y'all.
We got you.
Because we've been working hard at it. We've been working hard at it.
We have.
With everything we have going on top of trying to do a podcast with it, we've done pretty good. And I'm proud of us.
We have.
Yeah.
We have.
It's okay to give yourself a pat on the back.
It sure is.
Yeah.
We've done well.
We've done.
So this week we didn't get a chance to finish last week's conversations in terms of having an open relationship.
Yeah, so this is going to be part 2.
Part 2, yeah.
So this is, do you have an open relationship? Part 2. Because if you guys didn't get a chance to watch last week's, then of course do yourself a favor, go back and watch or listen to last week's podcast as we opened up this whole conversation about having an open relationship. Yeah. And we just kind of dove into the importance of having what we call as hot communication. Yeah. Hot communication meaning honest, open, and transparent communication with your spouse or with the individual that you are in a relationship with. Yep. And so what can the people be looking forward to today in terms of communication? Because there's so many different ways you can go with it. It is a lot of ways you can go with it, but one of the most important places your communication is necessary is during conflict. So we're going to jab it and fight with conflict today.
Listen, that whole
jab it.
We got to
fight with
jab it, undercut. So we speak with so many couples, and one of the main things that they always bring to us is, how do you all handle conflict within you all's marriage? And we will be the first ones to say, that of course it's not necessarily always easy, but it is necessary to deal with the conflict. Yeah. And then
so conflict gets a bad rep, right?
It does.
Because everybody views conflict as negative. But conflict can show how much growth you have in your relationship.
This is true.
When you fight with your partner, if there was a point in time where there was no resolution and you've gotten yourself to a place to where you can at least come to an understanding, that's some good conflict.
That is some good conflict.
That's some good handling.
Yeah, and it's growth as well.
It shows growth. That's why I said conflict gets a bad rep, because people always look at it as negative.
Right.
But when you have two individuals with strong opinions, come on, man, y'all not going to agree on everything. It's not. Conflict resolution doesn't mean that you agree.
Right.
It's that you've come to a common ground where you've resolved the problem that was causing you two to go back and forth.
Right. I like the way that you put that. It means that two individuals have come to a common ground.
Yeah.
To be able to resolve the issue at hand.
Yeah.
And I think where a lot of people miss it is really trying to resolve the conflict without finding that common ground.
Trying to resolve the conflict where you agree on the same thing the same way.
Right. And listen, y'all, it's hard to resolve that conflict issue, whatever you want to call it, if you all have not found that common ground that Tonja was speaking of. But before we really dive into it, so I was thinking about this this week. Mm-hmm. So of course the first episode was marriage is more than a selfie.
Yep.
If you know people who follow us on our socials, you know we take a lot of photos. Yeah. We you know smiling and having fun. Yeah. Photos together, date night photos, random photos, family photos. We live in a time now where people will look at those photos and they will see our smiles and they will see our laughter and they will automatically think that we don't have any issues.
We don't have any conflict.
No conflict.
We always agree.
Or whatever. Right. And that's not necessarily the case.
No.
And that's the reason why marriage is more than a selfie is so important for you guys to really listen to and just adhere to. Because it really shows that, you know, it's more to, there's more work in a marriage and in a relationship than just the smiles.
The pretty pictures.
Right. Yeah. Right.
How well you can pose together.
Right.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that,
I don't know if it's safe, but come on and say it.
Yeah, I guess you got a point.
Kidding.
Right. Is it safe to say that when you and I, let's just start with the first year one of marriage. Okay. Did we handle conflicts? No.
Yeah, he ain't even got to finish that sentence because no, we did not. We barely handled communication well.
Yeah, this is true.
So if you can't communicate effectively, you're definitely not going to be able to fix any issues with conflict.
Right. Right.
So that's why we started part one of Do You Have an Open Relationship with hot communication, honest, open, and transparent. We started there because that needs to transition into your conflict.
Right.
Did I cut you off?
No. You didn't cut me off. But what I was going to say, what's interesting, because now I'm thinking back to like when we made it to the stage of seriously dating. In that stage, we had to learn each other. Yeah. Then when we graduated into engagement, we had to learn. I feel like we had to learn it again. Yeah. And then when we got married, we had to learn again. Right, because it's different.
It's different roles, right? So first we decided to be in a relationship, a monogamous relationship, committed.
Exclusive.
Exclusive.
Right.
And then we went into being engaged. Right. So when we were engaged, our mindset was, okay, now we're going into different roles. We're planning to be each other's spouse. Right. And so that, to me, brought a little pressure. I'm going to be honest. A little pressure because being there before and it being what it was, you know, trying to build myself up to get back to that person or a better person, I would say. Not back to that person, a better person. Right. It was some work. Yeah. And then when we actually jumped the broom and got married, being an actual wife again was me learning you so that I can make sure I'm being the wife that you need. Right. And not just the wife that I think you need.
Right. I think it's good for us to say this and kind of just discuss it just a little bit. I think sometimes people go into serious relationships, engagements, and then of course within that year one of marriage, they go into, not everybody, but some people go into that particular phase, relationship, engagement, marriage, thinking that you can communicate the same way that you communicated back when you first met and when you were in, just seriously dating. Now, and you may agree or disagree, but for me, I feel as if it's different. I feel as if as your role changes in someone's life, there goes the how you communicate with them.
Well, because I think they become more important. That's good. And I think that so when we started dating, it was a great experience. And it was also an experience where we were learning each other. We're in the process of us learning each other. We're both evolving. We're changing as human beings. You had to change in order for you to get to the place of proposing to be my husband. You know, and I had to change in the perspective of accepting your proposal to become your wife. So my communication and my conflict based on how we interacted with each other
that's right.
should be changing and growing as well. Right. But if we don't take as much look into those key components as we do the proposal and the getting into the relationship, then they miss out. And so instead of there being proactive things taking place, you're just reactive in everything that you do.
I agree 100% because when we came into our relationship engagement and into our marriage, there were some things that we missed. Concerning communication and definitely how we dealt with conflict. Do you remember?
And how we dealt with each other.
Yes. Yeah. Do you remember how bad we used to talk to each other when we would have disagreements? Now, y'all, when I say bad, I'm not talking about...
Well, it's bad to us because we say that we respect each other, but then we treat each other like we're enemies.
Right, you know? Right. And it wasn't, at least I don't think it was nothing to where we was just, it was us cussing each other out back and forth. We weren't verbally abusive to each other.
A curse word does not have to be, present for there to be harm in what you're saying.
No. You're right.
No, I'm agreeing. I'm not saying. Let me get this right.
I want them thinking
that. Let me make sure that you're understanding.
Right. We weren't verbally abusive.
Right. I mean, we were not physically abusive. Let's go ahead and make this.
Let's say that. But that we had some heated moments.
We did. Some heated fellowships.
Right. Yeah. That could have been much better if we really knew how to communicate with each other.
If we understood each other's communication style.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's it. And so I just wanted to say that because the people need to know that
it's some work.
It's some work. It's some work.
Handling conflict, especially if you grew up seeing conflict in a bad way where somebody ended up going to jail, that's going to roll off on you and make you think that that's how you handle conflict.
This is true.
But in actuality, there's a better way to handle conflict. You don't have to win an argument to feel like there's a resolution.
Right.
Sometimes you're going to have to compromise.
That's true.
Sometimes you're going to have to allow yourself to take a seat back and listen to what your partner is saying and really understand what the issue is.
Right.
And you can't do that without effective communication.
Right. And effective communication also is not you in the middle of a conflict with the mindset of I'm going to win.
I'm going to win.
I'm because nobody wins when the family feud. That's what Jay-Z said.
Yeah.
Nobody wins. It's true.
It's true.
It is true.
It's true. You're absolutely correct. Nobody wins
when
if we're feuding.
If we are
feuding. It means we're at odds.
Right. Yeah. So with conflict in any relationship, let's just look at relationship as a whole. Whether it is your marriage, whether it is your romantic relationship, your family relationship, your actual friendships. Conflict will arise.
Yeah.
Everybody does not handle conflict well and the same way.
Yeah.
What this means is that whoever you are in relationship with, you have to do the work to, number one, understand that individual, understand how they communicate. Don't automatically assume. That's what we did. We assume. Don't be like us. Don't
be like that.
Yeah, don't be like that. That's right. Because we assumed, and it was not until we started slowing down and just kind of retracting and just going back over the issue at hand, even the argument, and seeing where those areas where we could have said something better, we could have framed our words better. But one thing that we did not do is that we never shied away from the conflict itself.
Oh no, yeah.
Now
we faced it.
We did face it. Now here it is.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to make it like we're perfect.
No, absolutely not.
Sometimes we faced it after we realized that we weren't trying to face it. Meaning, well, I didn't say nothing because I didn't want this to happen. And what if I would have said something, we would have this and
I do.
You know, because that used to be me all day long.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say anything because I don't feel like arguing today.
You feel like arguing today?
I don't feel like arguing.
I ain't in the mood.
Right, I ain't in the mood to argue because I already know that I'm going to say something that's going to set you off.
Yeah, and so it's always best to step away from that because then the actual issue gets lost in trying to rebuild back up, you know, how you to bring yourself back from, you know, the cussing and the fussing.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
As the old people say,
right.
Cussing and fussing.
So
fussing and cussing. You heard that before?
I have, fussing and cussing.
Fussing and cussing.
So when it comes to conflict and just trying to the beginning stages of resolving the conflict, because hear us good. Once the conflict or the issue comes to the surface, and you all are on common ground to really resolve the issue,
emotionally stable.
Emotionally stable
to discuss it.
There is a way that we believe that has worked for us and other couples that we have coached and counseled in terms of really dealing with the conflict. And we're not just talking about surface conflict. We're talking about
we're talking about something that just keeps coming up, repetitive things that keep coming up that have y'all at odds, and the things that you know that you're not communicating effectively because of how emotionally involved you are with the conflict. Right.
Because sometimes what a lot of people do, and this is just somewhat of a sidebar, a lot of times what a lot of people do within their arguments, or, you know, they will get to a place in the argument and really not have any resolution for whatever it is that they're arguing about. Then when the next time when
it comes back up,
it comes back because it never was resolved the first time.
It was a Band-Aid was put on it.
Band-Aid was put on it. It was pacified, however you want to call it. So with hot communication also comes what we call is hot lips. Hot lips in terms of communication, and then dealing with conflict within your marriage relationship or relationship. So what is and y'all probably like all these acronyms.
Yeah. We like acronyms.
Right, we do. So what is hot lips? So lip means lovingly, immediately, and privately. And so for the next few minutes, we want to kind of unpack that and kind of talk about that in terms of dealing with conflict. Yeah. A lot of the mistakes that we made early on is when we dealt with conflict, it was not in a lovingly way.
Yeah.
And that's the first step to really trying to resolve the conflict, the issue at hand.
Yeah. And so when you think lovingly, right? So this is not just with your romantic partner. This is with, you know, friendships that you value, relationships that you're in, that you have an emotional attachment to them that has evolved into love, right? And so with that in mind, when you deal with this person, you don't see them as your enemy. You don't see them as the person that's trying to cause you harm. So that's a mindset thing. So if you condition your mind to think, this is not my enemy. This is not the person that is trying to hurt me. This is the person that I love. And this is the person that I want in my life. And because I want them in my life, I want to handle this conflict with love.
Right.
I want to handle this person that I'm in conflict with love.
So basically what you're saying is that when we find ourselves in a argument, trying to resolve a particular conflict, even though it may be a heated situation, because of the frustration and the hurt of the conflict or issue, it does not mean that I should take what is happening at that moment and see you as my enemy.
Right.
I should take this moment for what it is and know that even though that things are heated right now in terms of what's going on, that this person that I'm in conflict with, I still got love for them.
Yeah.
They are still near and dear to, to my heart.
Yeah.
And so because of that, this is the reason why that we should resolve conflict in a loving way.
Yeah. And so, like I said, it's a mindset thing, right? And you have to condition your mind to think that way, even in conflict. And so you think about when you start working out, right? It's been a while since you worked out. So you're trying to get your body back into remembrance of how it functions while working out.
Right.
And so there's going to be some discomfort. There's going to be some uneasiness, and there's going to be some frustration that comes behind the fact that you're sore so much.
Right.
And this is supposed to be helping me, but it's hurting
me. Right. Until you're used to it.
And until your body gets into the routine of doing it.
Right.
It's the same thing with dealing with communication and conflict.
Yeah.
You have to condition yourself to deal with things not emotionally based. You have to put yourself in position to deal with these things mentally. Like, in my mind, this is how I'm seeing the conflict.
Right.
I love this person that I'm in conflict with. Therefore, I'm going to treat them with love. Now, in the beginning, that's going to be hard.
Right.
Because you're used to handling conflict, with your mouth and with your emotions. But this time, include your heart and your mind. Because in that space, you'll be able to see the person that you're in conflict with differently.
I totally agree.
So that's the point of lovingly.
Yeah. But now, and this is just for anyone who may be thinking this right now. Well, what if my conflict or the reason why I'm responding from my heart and my emotional place is because my heart has been broken or my emotional state of our relationship has been injured. So I am responding
based off how you feel about how you've been treated.
Right. So even though, because some people have an issue with handling something in a lovingly way when their trust has been broken, there's cheating involved, infidelity, whether it is physical infidelity, emotional infidelity, all these different things. And now we have to deal with this in a lovingly way.
Right. And so dealing with things in a lovingly way does not mean that person gets a pass for injuring trust or for treating you in a way that's disrespectful. That does not mean that they get a pass.
Right.
God wants us to handle things with love.
Right.
Because we're supposed to love each other. That's what we were created for.
Right.
But that does not mean do not hold them accountable.
So basically, that pretty much when we say in a lovingly way, meaning, of course, number one, have do your best to have the respect for that individual for that conversation.
Don't always revert to violence or.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not just saying physical violence.
Yeah.
I'm saying verbal violence. Don't violate them based on how they acted towards you, because if you haven't gotten down to the real issue of what the conflict is or why it happened, then of course your first instinct is to be upset.
Right.
But I'm not saying that allow the love you have for them to give them a free pass, because that is definitely, please, if you got that understanding, retract, take that out of the. Let's X that out.
Right.
Let's not do that, because we want you to be held accountable for what you've done, but I don't want to jump on you, physically or emotionally, from what you did. Mm-hmm. I want to understand what you did so I can make sure I don't want to see it again, know, and also to give myself an option if I want to continue the relationship from it.
This is true. This is very true.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to raise that up because a lot of times
people think that, because you love somebody, you ain't gotta,
Right. Because honestly, y'all, when you think about it, the whole conflict or the issue, a lot more times than none, it's something much more deeper than what actually happened. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The actual what happened, something.
The actual act.
Yes, yeah. It's something much more deeper, and that's where the honesty comes back in. That because you got to really be honest with you as an individual. If there's some things that you're dealing with or that you've dealt with in the past that you have not opened yourself up to really speak about. That's why it's important to always talk about with the person that you are, of course, which definitely person you're married to or considering marrying, to really deal with not just their past, but your past in terms of sharing with them the things that you've gone through and not being fearful of losing them for you just being transparent with them.
Right.
And a lot of times people miss that.
Yeah.
And then when conflict comes, it's like, it's hard for me to deal with this in a loving way.
Yeah.
When I feel like you've been lying to me, I'm not sure who it is that I'm with.
Right.
So we're encouraging, when it comes up, deal with it in a loving way.
Yeah.
And you know what that is.
You know what that means.
You know what it looks like as well.
I love you with the love of Jesus. Right?
Okay.
But I love me with the love of Jesus.
Okay.
And if me loving you means that we need some time apart, then that's what it's going to be.
And you're speaking in terms of marriage.
I'm speaking in reference to relationships. I think marriage is a bit more complicated than that. And I think that it requires a deeper dive because there are situations.
You got your serious
I have to get myself, because he be
he
trying to check me, y'all. That's literally his way of trying to check me right there with that question. But it's okay. It's okay. I receive it. So, like I said, make a decision for the betterment. See, I can't even get back into it. I'm done.
Make a decision. Nope. Make a decision for the betterment
of your relationship,
right?
But most importantly, because if you can't handle what the conflict is doing to you, then you're no good for the relationship. It's the point that I'm trying to make. Sir,
I agree. So you should deal with it in a lovingly way.
But the love is for you and them,
right?
Not just
you.
Not just them.
No, not just them. So you want to deal with it in a lovingly way. Yeah. And you always have to keep in mind all of the work that you all have put into the relationship and of course the marriage as well, before you just not deal with it in a way that you know that is conducive for the both of you all.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So in a lovingly way.
Yeah.
But then number 2, the I immediately. Immediately.
What does immediately looks like?
And we talk about this in maintenance and cheaper.
You got me saying immediately. Is it immediately?
I'm not going to do that. Immediately.
What? I mean, I was trying to understand.
Immediately.
Immediately.
Immediately. Immediately.
Immediately.
Immediately. Immediately.
What does that look like?
Well, so a lot of times when people hear that immediately,
they think you want to do it right then and there, like on the spot.
That means that if there is a issue that has caused conflict within your marriage or within your relationship, at 5 p.m.
Maybe to put a time.
I'm putting a time on it, and then at 5:02, you all are trying to resolve it. Mm-hmm. That's not always the case.
No, most times that's not the case.
Immediately means once both of you all have had the opportunity to process everything that that has happened, everything that has been said, nerves have calmed down. For some people, you can actually be in the same space with that person, so that you all can deal with it. Yeah. Immediately does not mean that you go out kick with your homeboys and I deal when I get back and do all this different thing. No. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about once you have processed everything that has happened and you're at a space to where you really can talk with a level head.
Yeah. And so your process is your process.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different. Yes. Like how you handle the conflict. And there are different levels to processing conflict. It depends on the actual issue, what has happened. Mm-hmm. But what we're asking is that even while you're processing, be mindful of, isolation, mm-hmm. Be mindful of prolonging the conflict, mm-hmm. until you've, completely processed it. Right. Because I'm not saying that you need to say, give me a couple of days and then we can talk. It may not be that, mm-hmm. That may not be the case, but come on, y'all, a couple of months, that's a bit excessive.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Especially if this is, a relationship, a marriage, the Bible says don't go to bed angry. Mm-hmm. And that does not mean that you can't still feel some type of way about the issue. That just means don't go to bed mad about it. Be emotional about it. And sometimes anger is the emotion, mm-hmm. but that is the first thing that you will need to process. You will need to process your anger first.
Yes, process your anger first, and then understand the difference in between being mad and disappointed.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. That's being mad, because there are two different things. So,
and they sometimes look alike.
Yes,
those emotions sometimes.
Yes, they do.
Make you feel the same way.
Right, and I can give an example just from a married point of view, because I can be disappointed in something that Tonja says, where it was wrong. Yeah, but or she does something that that we talked about, and mm-hmm. she just whatever case may be, and mm-hmm. now I'm disappointed. Yeah. My disappointment, number one, it does not mean that I'm not her husband anymore.
It doesn't mean you're gonna leave me.
Right? No, I'm not gonna leave you. The disappointment does not mean that I don't stop providing for her, all the So you have to understand the difference.
You're gonna be mad, ain't you? That's anger. Just mad. Taking stuff away from me,
I ain't gonna pay this light bill. It's gonna be in the dark.
Cutting off my credit card access, and Jesus.
Right. So when we say immediately, we're saying after you have had the opportunity to process everything, thoughts and things of that nature, because sometimes people try to talk about the situation in the heat of that particular moment.
Finding it out.
Yeah. And it's like
sometimes that's too soon.
Now, don't get us wrong. When you have two individuals who subscribe to being honest with each other, like that's one of their core values, mm-hmm. in their relationship and in their marriage. And some people, they have the level head to deal with it just for a moment, right after it happens. But it's definitely something that they go back and really look at, to really kind of discover, like, okay, this happened. You said this or you did this. Let's see where things broke down at.
Yeah, because immediately could also depend on how quickly you recognize what the conflict is.
Yes, that's good.
So if you see the conflict as, just high emotions, we just been frustrated with each other all day, and this particular conflict is caused because we have not spent any time with each other.
Right.
So when you see the conflict for what it is and you recognize what the issue is right at that point, immediately take care of that.
Right.
Because if both of you agree that this is because we have not spent any time together, that's why we're having this issue, then you can dive right into that and fix it.
Right.
To me, that's one of the lower level acts of conflict. That's something that you can recognize quick because of your life, how things are going in y'all's life. Y'all busy, you got the kids, you got work, you got, business you're trying to run on top of all of that. So you can see where that conflict is coming in.
Right.
But if this is something that is more damaging, like infidelity, maybe in a marriage, infidelity, or maybe, secrets and lies from a friendship. That's something that you may have to take a second to process.
Right.
And you may have to figure out why you don't have a safe space to kill secrets and lies. You may have to dive deep into your relationship and how you handle each other. That's why we always talk about hot communication first.
Right. Because
once you literally understand that, conflict becomes, I'm not going to say easier to resolve, but more manageable.
Yeah.
You can really figure out how to fix things on a level-headed plane.
Yes. Yes. And what's interesting about what you're saying in terms of just this whole immediately sense of communicating.
Yeah.
Sometimes immediate means when it happens, immediately recognize and just say, and then also verbally telling your spouse or the person that you're in a relationship with in so many words, okay, this happened. I got that information. Let me sit with this for a moment just so I can personally process it.
Yeah.
That's not you shutting down.
No.
That's you communicating to them.
Yep.
Like, I'm taken back by this.
Yeah.
I need to process this myself. But going back to what Tonja said, it should not take 2 or 3 months for this.
Yeah.
Especially if your marriage and your relationship really means something to you.
Absolutely.
So immediately. Lastly,
most important,
privately.
I hate
privately.
Can I tell you what I hate? I'm not gonna say hate. Okay. Can I tell you what a big pet peeve of mine is?
The floor is yours to testify.
Is to pull up my social media account, Facebook, and to see a couple going back and forth about their relationship with screenshots, text messages, sometimes even videos. That is a pet peeve of mine because you don't respect your relationship enough to handle those things privately. I respect you too much to not put our disagreement on social media.
Right. And people, they misinterpret what being real is. When keeping it real goes wrong. When keeping it real goes wrong.
Keeping it real does not mean you see me in conflict.
Right.
Cussing my spouse out. Right. Or, me. Oh, I've seen fights before on social media.
Right. Because here's the thing. Tonja has all the receipts on me in terms of disagreements that we've had. And we've had to hash some of those out.
Via text
message because of course we're working all these different things. I have the same thing, and when it comes to her, what do I look like posting our whole conversation? I got the receipts too.
You look like you're trying to get somebody on your side.
That too. You're like, I need somebody to join in.
I need y'all to join in and make me feel good about this.
I need you to join in with my foolishness. No, privately. This even means if something pops off while you are in public. You guys are all public. Always remember, I hope this is for you. Always remember who you are in those moments. Like, because we know who we are if something happens, yes, if we're sitting down, something's going to be said. But we're not going to look at each other. I'm not going to look at Tonja and say, we'll deal with this when we get in the car. I'm not going to disrespect her like that. It is because we know each other so well. It's like if something comes up, okay. And then once we get that check. Then once we get in, and that's both of us. Once we get into that car, it is privately amongst us.
We're not going to set our phone up and go live.
Right.
Because you will not be privy to that conversation because we do not want your opinion.
Right. And then we can take it a step further. And everybody doesn't have this testimony, but we do. Everybody knows that, we lead a church. And sometimes we've had disagreements either Saturday that they weren't completely resolved on that Saturday and they bled over into that Sunday. Or we've gotten into it Sunday mornings or whatnot on the way to church. But once we got to church,
I wouldn't say got into it, baby. You act like we was fighting.
Well, no, I'm not saying we were fighting, but we disagreed. Let's just go with disagreement.
Okay.
Once we got to church, it's like we're not being fake.
We're not being passive aggressive.
Right. We just know that at this particular moment,
there's something more important than our disagreement.
Right. Tonja don't hold back on her amens. She don't do that.
And I still sit on the front row.
She's just,
I still hug and love on the members.
Right.
Because I understand that disagreement. Why are you looking at me like that?
You understand? Because disagreement.
I feel like you about to go somewhere with it. I don't know if I like that or not.
I'm not. I promise you.
I've gotten better with that because there has been a time where, I would allow that to discourage me from even participating in anything.
Wow.
So I've gotten to a point now where I understand that disagreement can be put on hold for a couple of hours.
Yeah. But when we get back in that car,
the service has ended. But you know what's crazy? If something like that happens on a Sunday and we're headed to church, and after the word has been released and the atmosphere was conducive for God to do what He had planned to do,
that's right, man.
When I get back in that car, I'm more open to hear your side, and I'm more free from the anger that I may have felt, from it initially.
Yeah, I think that goes both ways, but then I also understand that sometimes in the middle of a great God moment and worship moment, it's like, this is so small.
It's so silly, y'all. We be having some silly disagreements sometimes, and I just be looking at Jermaine like, "Are we done?
Right.
Are we done?"
Right.
I don't even understand what happened and how this even.
But we deal with it privately.
Yeah, it's between us. The members will never know that we just had a disagreement.
Right.
And some people saying y'all being fake, y'all not dealing with y'all issues. No, that's you being smart about your conflict.
Right.
And that's you handling it in a mature way.
Right.
Because kids continue to fight.
Come on.
Adults deal with the issue in a more mature way. And they handle it in a way to where their lives are not interrupted by it.
Right.
If I allow every conflict to interrupt my life, I would never be able to move forward and progress in anything that I'm trying to do.
Right.
So resolving it is the goal, but also recognizing that maybe it needs to sit for a while,
right,
and then we come back to it.
Maybe it needs to sit for a while and come back to it, and then when you come back to it, you deal with it, and you get to a place where now we can work on it.
Now we can do some work.
Now
we can fix it.
Right, but the place where a lot of people fail at is the work part. The work part, because just because me and Tonja get to, and I'm using this as an example, just because me and Tonja get to a place of understanding like how bad this hurt, when you said this way, or when you made this decision, it does not mean that it won't happen again.
Right.
So you need to just kind of proof your marriage and proof your relationship to the point to where if it does happen again, instead of wasting all the energy that you wasted not dealing with it the right way, this time come around, if it happens, you know how to deal with it better. You know how to talk about it better. Yeah. And sometimes if you are the person that is inflicting the conflict, then maybe this time you're more mature to come and say, you know what, I made a huge mistake today. I made this decision.
Because that matters. That makes a difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because I would rather hear you say, I appreciate you for being upfront about this. Yeah. Now, that does not mean I'm not upset with you.
No, that doesn't mean that conflict resolved. Yeah. That just means that you've taken the initiative to come and say, hey, I know this is on me. Yeah. And how can we fix it?
And I haven't robbed you of your choice in terms of how you want to respond. Want to respond. Yeah. And you know what we do with it? Right in the confines of our home, in a private setting, or in our car, in a private setting. So when conflicts come up, man, it has to be in a loving way.
It has to.
It has to be immediate, and and you know what that looks like for you and your spouse or the person that you're in a relationship with. Yeah. And then privately. Privately. Not in front of your kids.
Yeah. Now that part, I think that there may be some situations where you can show your children how to handle conflict in a healthy way. Now, if you don't know how to do that, then privately handle that, because you do not want your child seeing you in a stage of anger and frustration, handling something that they may have to deal with down the line. So they'll be like, well, my mama did it this way, or my dad did it this way, and so I guess this is how it's supposed to be handled.
And never went back to explain it.
Never went back to explain it. Yeah. So if we've had a disagreement in front of our children before, and it was to the point to where they did not see us yelling and screaming at each other, and they did not see us trying to hurt each other more than we were trying to fix the problem. Right. So in my opinion, I'm just going to speak for me, but I think you would agree, that is us showing them how to handle conflict in a healthy way and not to shy away from it just because it makes you uncomfortable. Right.
I would rather our children be able to say to their significant others, the spouses, this is how I saw my mom and dad resolve conflict. Yeah. They didn't run away from it. All they know is that it was a disagreement that happened. It's real quiet in this house, and then maybe a couple hours later, they around and act like ain't nothing.
Ain't nothing happened. I don't know what transpired between the point of it happening and them getting
and
back
I'm looking
together.
At them just know it was resolved. Just know it was resolved. Right. So man. So open communication, hot communication, hot lips, honest, open, and transparent. And then how do I deal with the conflict? Lovingly,
immediately,
and then of course privately. Listen, try that apply.
Try it. See what it does to your conflict. Yeah, see what hot does for your communication. Yes. Trust me, hot we can guarantee. Yeah. If you follow the whole idea behind hot, your communication is gonna make a total change, right? Yes. And if you use your lips in conflict, lovingly, immediately, privately, trust me, conflict is gonna feel a little different. It's not gonna be as uncomfortable as it has been. Right. It's not gonna prolong itself. Right. Or keep repeating itself.
Right. This is true. You gotta use your lips.
Use it.
Lovingly, immediately, and privately. And privately. I know. Today's episode has been brought to you by
the one, the only
Atkins Act Right. That would be us. Listen, when you get a chance, go over to AtkinsActRight.com.
Yeah. Check out our
website.
Join our mailing list. Email
subscribe to the mailing list. If you hadn't had the opportunity, subscribe to the Act Right Out Loud podcast channel, YouTube channel. And then just keep up with us during the week. We talk to y'all You talk to us, we talk back.
We talk back. Social media, Atkins Act Right, Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
Follow us, y'all.
Follow us. And listen, go to AtkinsActRight.com today.
So, hot communication, lips, communication styles, even apology styles.
Yes.
It's some good stuff in that book, y'all. Check it out.
Yes. Maintenance is cheaper than repair. Conditioning your relationship for a healthy future.
You're so good at it.
Oh, man.
It just rolls out.
I just practice.
Practice?
Yeah, been
good
practicing.
Good job. Practice makes perfect.
Listen, enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Oh, it's Father's Day weekend, brother.
It is. That's why I see June is so sweet.
June's so good, y'all.
I get to celebrate my birthday, then I go directly into Father's Day.
So what about us?
15 years, y'all.
15 years
of knowing each other.
As of June 2009.
Yes.
We celebrating all month.
Yeah, all month long.
Yeah.
Then we always close this month out in a major way, celebrating my baby's birthday. By the time July get here, we be just tired.
Tired, y'all, because we be trying to do stuff y'all young people be doing.
Right.
But it's okay. Right. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
So, man, thank y'all so much for tuning in with us. Thank y'all for watching us today.
Yeah.
Man, enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Yes. Take care of your dads today.
Yes,
and for those whose dad may not be here, I'm one of those. I pray for you. I pray for your strength this weekend. Just because they are not here, their love is still present.
Absolutely.
So we send love and encouragement to all of the families out there. Celebrate your dads. And I think that's about it.
That's it, y'all.
Because I'm going to celebrate this dad. This is a great dad.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. Once again, I'm Jermaine.
I'm Tonja. Y'all have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.